From LALATE headquarters in Santa Monica, this is Afternoons LALATE.
It's a big afternoon of Afternoons LA with incredible great news about your fourth stimulus check update of 2022, your CR for stimulus 1.0, 2.0, 3.0, and those MSC multiple IRS stimulus checks. Big money that Joseph Biden and his press team says he wants those checks going out and he's ready to send them out. I have the breaking details in today's recording with the Build Back Better Act that passed in the House in November is now in the Senate. And that vote will happen shortly, so represents the President of the United States and Chuck Schumer. But for over 2 weeks, this channel has been advocating for the inclusion of a stimulus check in another piece of legislation. It has no less than about 2 weeks away. It's called CR for Stimulus, inserting a check into the continuing resolution that has a deadline of just a few days away. And then shortly after our first week of advocating for it, the House members said they're going to do a version of that as well. I have all the incredible details of what CR for Stimulus 2.0 coming out of the House today looks like as it passed on Friday. Yes, passed. Then the Democratic and Republican senators say they're ready for CR for Stimulus 3.0 with their version of legislation. It's breaking news on how the latest details today on Afternoons LA, direct from Santa Monica, California. Plus, we'll be going over all the incredible money across the board with the opportunities of what the president could add into this incredible recon with what we call on this channel SSDI 200 2.0 or SS200 2.0. A lot of opportunities for the President of the United States to get money out to you with the Build Back Better Act first coming up in this video, then CR for Stimulus 1.0, 2.0, 3.0, and then SS200 2.0. Oh my goodness, is there a 2.0 version of me? There is not. But the excitement starts right here, right now, as Afternoons LA gets underway. Hey, good afternoon, everybody. I hope you're having a good day. Well, the recon passed in the House of Representatives back in November. That is the Build Back Better Act and is now in the Senate. But the incredible great news as we go into a big afternoon's recording is that 2 weeks ago, I advocated for another body of legislation called CR for Stimulus, using not the Build Back Better Act, but the continuing resolution as a way to get money on top of the Build Back Better Act and get it out faster across the board. In today's recording, we'll go over why the House Democrats clearly heard us, because on no less than 1 week later, they passed a resolution, a bill, and it was done in less than 48 hours ago. That bill is now heading to the Senate, where guess what? It gets even better than this. The senators now say they have their version ready, which would ostensibly be CR for Stimulus 3.0. But you're also going to see in this recording how there's a fourth opportunity across the board, and it's in the works in the Senate. My goodness, that's a lot of opportunities and a lot of ways to pivot to get money out to the American people. Meantime, you heard on this channel back in the campaign days of Biden versus Trump, a promise for SS200. Well, guess what? SS200 2.0 is now heating up, with the second half of this video showing you how the President of the United States, Joe Biden, can get out SS200 today without an act of Congress, without a fifth stimulus. And this would actually give you more than SS200 was originally supposed to give you, because guess what? SS200 was originally supposed to be 1 year. This, or 6 to 12 months, this would be lifetime. I have all the incredible details in today's recording. Plus, we'll be cutting back to the incredible money that is in this third stimulus recon, the incredible money in there, and fourth stimulus. How you get those sums of money across this video, I have all the incredible details as we go into a big afternoon. But first, I want you to subscribe. You're watching LALATE, the number 3 most watched financial news channel in America. Like this video and subscribe. Bring us to number 2. That is the next place we're heading. Bring us to number 2 by subscribing, and thank you for all the incredible subscriber growth in the last week. Like the video, 2,000-3,000 likes. Every like helps in the algorithm rankings. And tell your friends and family to come on over. Meantime, sign up for the membership so you get the incredible newsletter Monday through Friday from YouTube and the LALATE Alerts, which is totally free, a link to which is under the video's description. And with that, let's go back into this incredible provisions of the recon, the Build Back Better Act, with the monies at issue. We're going to go over each of those incredible provisions starting right now. There are 3 clusters and 3 add-ons. Let's look at them right now. $15,000 is what the Build Back Better Act started with, but has upwards of $60,000 with 3 clusters of checks and 3 add-ons. Let's look at those clusters right now. They got in there. Hazard pay. Wow. For my essential workers, got it in there 1 more year. It's currently in 3rd stimulus for my essential workers, hazard pay. To learn about it, it's called Earned Income Tax Credit, EIC, and you can find it at irs.gov. They're proposing it for 1 more year. $4,000 of elder care, got it in there. $4,000 of care for young children. The CTC, also under 3rd stimulus. You can learn about it at irs.gov. The Child Tax Credit, expanding it for 1 more year, $3,600 checks, $550 checks for Pell Grant recipients, then $12,500 checks for the purchase of a new electric vehicle, and then checks to repair your home if you live in a low-income community. Wow, it's incredible. That is the first of 3 clusters of checks, but now let's turn to the first add-on of checks. And the first add-on of checks is perhaps one of the most exciting provisions that so many of the viewers of this channel really like. It's $25,000, just a little bit less, for the purchase of your first home. Maxine Waters out of Southern California got the provision in there. And again, you're hearing me right. This is money for the purchase of your first home. She got that provision in there, given to the seller in your name for the federal government at the time of escrow. Wow, it is huge. Now, with that, that is the first of 3 add-ons. Let's go back to the clusters. Time for the second of 3 clusters of checks. Let's look at what's in that second cluster. In that second cluster, we find the incredible paid leave and home repairs. Home repairs this time around is to weatherize your home. The paid leave is if you have to stay home due to illness or sickness from work, or a family member has to stay home as well. So let's go over the nuances of that. The paid leave is a lot of money. How much? It is $1,700 a week if you make $70,000 or more per year, approximately. If you make $35,000 or more per year, it is $800 a week. $15,000 annual salary, $400 a week. How many weeks? 4 to 6 weeks per year. Wow, that is incredible. Now, how much money does that add up to? $46,000. Huge. W-2 1099, you all qualify for the incredible sums of money. Now, the great news is that if you don't work, but your son or daughter does work and has to take off from work, they're going to get the check for the household. Wow, that is incredible. Which then tees us up for the second add-on of checks. I think you know which one this is. It's the big money from Bob Casey. $250 billion, just a little bit less, for free home health care for seniors and people on disabilities. This is very big because millions of Americans on Medicare don't have free home health care. If they're seniors on Medicare or on disabilities, they got that provision in there. Which then brings us to the third cluster of checks. Let's look at that third cluster of checks. That's where we find deliciousness. How do you spell deliciousness? DAHLISUNNESSS. In that third cluster, we have money for the seniors, free internet. Also, we have the incredible money for the independent contractors, money for the farmers, the nutrition, $65 per month when you have to stay home from school for nutrition, and then the Pell Grant. But in the case of the seniors, 2 provisions on the House side, 3 coming from the Senate side. The House side got in there the Medicaid gap fix, providing years of coverage. I have that coming up later in this video. And also the hearing checks for seniors who need hearing aids. But the Senate has vowed to add 3 other checks, which are dental, vision, and lowering the eligibility age of Medicare from 65 to 55, which is par for the course of what we're talking about for adding checks to this recon from the Senate side. And you know what the third add-on is. If you're in the live chat right now, write the letters. It's 3 letters. And that third add-on the senators vow to add in is MSC. What is MSC? Who gets it? How much is it? How does it work? When is the vote? And everything you need to know about it, we're going to go over it right now. MSC is an acronym that refers to monthly IRS stimulus checks, where the checks are sent out from IRS on a monthly basis. Now, there are multiple checks in this forced stimulus recount, lots of them. This is just to differentiate from those. These are ones that go out from IRS. Senators have told tens of thousands of viewers of this channel it's going in there since the month of May. And so what do they represent? They represent the eligibility would be the same as a third stimulus check. Let's go over if you qualify for that right now. Single individuals, $75,000 or less annual income, you would get it. Married couple, $150,000 or less, you get it, double it. Family of 4, quadruple it. And if you're on benefits, SSI, SSDI, Social Security, or railroad benefits, you would get it as well. Adult dependents would also get it. It's offered nationwide. It's automatic. It's nothing coming from the state, so if you don't like your state governor, don't worry, he's not sending the checks. The IRS is. It will go off your most recent tax return, so if that tax return did list a direct deposit account, you would get it by direct deposit. Otherwise, it would come in the mail. Joseph Biden, he has, in the last 7 days, had Andrew Bates, his White House spokesperson, issue a statement saying that the Build Back Better Act will pass, and the president wants every check that senators and House members put in there to go out as quickly as possible. Biden is ready, and I'm ready for you as well. So the next question, of course, is how much? Well, these legislators have represented that the payouts would be the following. $2,000 the first month, $1,000 thereafter for up to 6 months per person. Now remember, if it's a married couple, you double that. Family of 4, you quadruple it. Wow. The last question is, how do they get it done? This is where it gets fascinating. This, of course, we're talking about so far is an add-on to the Build Back Better Act, the BBB. But that has opportunities to add provisions in there, but there's other opportunities as well. Let's go over what's going on right now. So far in this recording, we have only covered the first body of legislation, the Build Back Better Act, the BBB. The forced stimulus recall, the social spending, has a lot of different names for it. Passed in the House back in November, now in the Senate. 3 clusters, 3 add-ons. The way they add provisions is during Senate subcommittee. That event has not happened yet. Senate subcommittee is when they take those thousands of pages of legislation passed in the House back in November and start adding stuff in there. Ron Wyden, Bernie, Chuck, Liz, all those people say they have stuff to add in there. In the subcommittee, then done. Then they have a bill, then send it to the Senate floor, vote, done. Then 2-day vote-a-rama, then done. But 2 weeks ago, I said, you know what? I have an idea. Why not we use an ancillary piece of legislation, another piece of legislation to get money out to you faster in addition to that, and that other piece of legislation could get you a check sooner. And immediately before I finished the sentence, viewer said, are you bringing CR for stimulus back? And I said, I am. Let's go over CR for Stimulus 1.0 and where it is today, the latest update, the breaking news. Then we'll be turning to CR for Stimulus 2.0, 3.0, and 4.0. And then after the commercial break, we'll be turning into SS200 2.0. Yeah, there's a lot of 1, 2, and 3 versions coming up in this recording. But let's go right into what happened with CR for Stimulus back in 2020. In 2020, we had just ended the first stimulus package in the spring of that year, March, April, and millions of Americans needed more money. So immediately they started to work on a second stimulus package. Meaning it's thousands of pages, 3,000 pages of length. And the legislators and the people negotiating were the following. Out of San Francisco, Nancy Pelosi, Speaker of the House, negotiating on behalf of the Democrats, starting in spring 2020. Steve Mnuchin, then Treasury Secretary, out of New York, negotiating on behalf of the Republicans. They negotiated in the spring of 2020, no deal. Then summer, no deal. Fall, no deal. Then back into the winter, no deal. And by December, no deal. So I said, I have an idea. And the idea I hatched one particular day. In December 2020, I've been watching and covering second stimulus for so many months. I said, we got to do something different. So I thought to myself off camera, can I find something? What do I need? I said to myself, I need another piece of legislation that's smaller, that can get bipartisan support, and that has a deadline. Because the issue was we didn't have any of that so far under second stimulus. And I found it. I found it in something called the continuing resolution. Now, it has a lot of different names, but that refers to a budget bill that has to be done every 3 to 6 months approximately by the federal government to fund the federal government. I liked it because, one, it goes by bipartisan support. Number two, it's small. It's not a package. It's a bill. It's very small, just a few hundred pages in length. Number three, it has an inherent deadline. They can roll it over a few days, a week, a few weeks, rarely a month. That's it. They don't roll it over 3 months because the federal government would default, and no one wants that. So I prepared my advocacy, I prepared my reaction to any criticism, and I made the first recording, and I went on air in December 2020, saying, hey, everybody, it's LALATE. I'm back with you in December 2020, and I have an idea. Second stimulus, no deal. We've been looking at this for 11 months. Why not we use an ancillary piece of legislation? And that other piece of legislation is called a continuing resolution. My idea, put a stimulus check in the continuing resolution, which has a deadline in December 2020. I need you to go on social media and advocate for it. Hashtag is the following: C. Charles, R. Robert, the number 4, stimulus, all together. Stimulus with U's, no A's and no O's. We're not cows. It's not stimulus, stimulus. Advocate for its inclusion. And as soon as I made that recording, to deliver something that someone had no one ever seen, no one had ever seen this in the United States, the idea of a stimulus check and a continued resolution, the criticism came in. And I was prepared for the criticism. The criticism looked like the following: LALATE, that's ridiculous. You're crazy. You're ridiculous. That idea makes no sense. A continuing resolution is money for the federal government. Why are you putting money for the American people in a bill for the American government? It is a bill to fund the federal government, not to fund the pockets of the American citizens. My reaction was ready. You're right. You're right. They don't belong in there, the stimulus checks. But that's not the reason why you shouldn't have been doing it, because since the beginning of time, Congress has been passing legislation that has language in there and checks in there that don't belong. In fact, during the pandemic, this has been a rapid reoccurring situation among both Republicans and Democrats. They had a COVID relief bill that sent money to foreign military governments. They had a COVID relief bill that proposed to send money to build a new FBI building. And they had a COVID relief bill that proposed to expand the Department of Copyrights. You can certainly insert a stimulus check in the continuing resolution, and we advocated. And then one morning we woke up and we were told there's stimulus going in the CR. We thought we had won until we looked carefully and we realized, no, it's unemployment stimulus. That's not what we were asking for. So we pushed back again, and suddenly it was in there. A stimulus check of $600 was put in the continuing resolution because of my creation. I came up with the idea. Everyone was looking at second stimulus. I stopped looking at it and started coming up with this idea and delivering the advocacy, and you made the push. You and I made U.S. history. And the $600 check that Americans got in December 2020, some people in January the next month, was all the result of this channel's creation. Ironically, what happened thereafter? Second stimulus never happened. Never went for a vote, never passed. There never was a second stimulus check. This CR for stimulus was the only check you got before third stimulus. And there you go. So what did I do 2 weeks ago? 2 weeks ago on a Saturday, I said, you want to bring it back? I think you do. Here's the issue, and this is why I think it should come back. It's been 11 months of negotiating again, just like second stimulus, and no deal. It's been 2 people negotiating once again, just like in 2020, no deal. And we need the money right now. And we have another deadline coming up, a continuing resolution in February. Viewers love the idea. I said push for it, advocate for it. Hashtag CR for stimulus. Don't put the 2022 at the end. Make it simple, make it consistent. And you pushed. And guess what happened? They heard. Within about 1 week, a week and a half, the House Democrats came out and said virtually everything you and I had said about CR for Stimulus 2022. Build Back Better Act, great. We're going to support it. We're going to continue to support it. It's going to pass. But we need another stimulus package or bill going out before it that puts money in the hands of the American people, that alleviates inflation and economic distress. And that comment came last Thursday. Last Thursday, Representative Pete Aguilar mirrored everything that I had said in this videos, which are, we need to do economic recovery as House Democrats. And while we support the Build Back Better Act that's currently in the Senate, we need, quote, absolutely need other pieces of legislation that will alleviate supply chain and tamper down on inflationary pressures. He said we need other bills, and that was Thursday. I told you on Thursday that Aguilar was eyeing a lot of opportunities and a lot of potential other pieces of legislation, but one was front and center and may pass by Friday. Well, guess what happened? It passed on Friday. Yes, that is CR for Stimulus 2.0. And the second half of this video, after the commercial break, I'll go over the exciting great news as CR 2.0 has now passed. 3.0 is now in the Senate, and the senators say that 3 and 2 will merge. My goodness. Then we'll be looking at 4.0, an opportunity to do that as well. These are all different opportunities that can pivot and move and shake. It's getting exciting. Then we'll be looking at SS 200 2.0. The President of the United States made this a campaign promise. He made a transition paper promise, promising $200 a month for 6 to 12 months if you are a senior, people on disabilities. In the second half of this video, I'm going to show you how Joe Biden can do it today without an act of Congress and without even fist stimulus. Then we'll go over other checks the president can send out right today. Yeah, there's a lot of money and there's a lot of legislation coming up in the second half. Plus, we'll take a look back at third stimulus and how viewers are now getting thousands of dollars this week. I'll show you how to get those incredible sums of money. We got a big second half. I'm excited you're here. It's a big afternoon's broadcast with the excitement heating up and so many pieces of legislation now giving us the opportunity to get these sums of money. I'll be back with you in 60 seconds as Afternoons LA continues. But first, here's a little bit about the community page. If you want money right now, not 5 days from now, and not 5 weeks from now, then reach out to the community page. The volunteers can help you find that money for rent and utilities. That's at news.la.com/community. The community page features a series of volunteers who are viewers like you. They can help you find rent, utilities, SNAP, food benefits, mortgage assistance, and help you with eviction moratorium questions as well. Their Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram individuals reach out to them and indicate the city and state you're from, and they'll get back to you shortly. That's a community page. Volunteers working for you, viewers helping one another. Stay with LA for more. Join LALATE Daily for the excitement of the new LALATE live daily. The excitement starts on mornings LALATE at 9 a.m. Home LALATE returns at 11 a.m. daily. And then afternoons LALATE at 1 p.m. Join us daily as the excitement continues live from Santa Monica on LALATE. And the excitement continues right now on Afternoons LALATE as we go back to that Build Back Better Act currently in the Senate and will pass. But guess what? Another piece of legislation passed on Friday. It's CR for Stimulus 2.0, and Senate members say their provision will pass as well. My goodness. The Senate changes to CR for Stimulus 2.0 and 3.0 I'm going to go over in the second half of this video, plus the incredible Senate changes to the Build Back Better Act. Then we'll be looking at the incredible programs across both of these different pieces of legislations. Then we'll look at third stimulus, how to get thousands of dollars for your wallet today, and viewers continue to get it. 2 viewers yesterday got $10,000 and $15,000. Congratulations to them. And then we talked about student loan debt forgiveness, but what about this stimulus? Can the president do SS 200 without the need of a fifth stimulus package? He can. And you're going to learn about SS 200 2.0 in the second half of this video. We got a lot coming up. You found it. You found LALATE, the channel that makes history. and we're looking to make history again. I want you part of this incredible family, this loving family where people support one another and help each other get over the finish line. So go into this video right now and subscribe. 400,000 subscribers, a YouTube record. You're watching the #3 most watched financial news channel in America. Bring us to #2 by subscribing. Like the video, 3,000 likes, and consider becoming a member to get an incredible newsletter Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, via the YouTube alert system and the LALATE alert system, the link to which is under the video's description. Sign up for that right now. And with that, we go into the big second half with CR for stimulus 1, 2, 3, and 4, and SS 2.0. My goodness, we got a lot coming up, and it starts right now. So, when we're looking at CR for stimulus, the concept is very simple. Build Back Better Act, a massive, massive package that's thousands of pages in length, 3,000 pages in length. Can we do something smaller, bipartisan, different, that has a check that can be added in there and can go out fast with an inherent deadline while still doing Build Back Better Act at a later date? That's the concept of CR for stimulus, which is now taking its sort of idiomatic expressionary term with the language of it. And the details are getting very exciting. So CR for stimulus, detailed before the commercial break, is using a budget bill that has a deadline of February. More about the update of that in just a second. But what happened this last Friday? Pete Aguilar delivered. The House Representatives delivered and passed CR for Stimulus 2.0. This is not using a CR this time. It's actually using an economic recovery bill. Now, economic recovery bill, don't matter what it's called. One thing I've been teaching over the last few days is don't worry if it's called chocolate cake bill or it's called vitamin water bill. Don't worry what it's called, so long as there is ways to get it done fast with a deadline, bipartisan support, and make it small. And the great news is that Aguilar is right, lock and step with us in mindset. When we look at the Build Back Better Act, we're talking about social reform and economic reform. Social reform is your teeth, your vision, your hearing. Economic reform is your wallet. And so he says, Aguilar, we need lots of economic reform. And that is why he wants pieces, plural, of legislation passed. So what passed on Friday? The first economic reform piece of legislation that deals with inflation, supply chain, economic competitiveness with China, and similar issues across the board. That passed on Friday. That is CR for Stimulus 2.0. Again, it's not a CR, but it acts like what we're talking about in the same mindset. So the great news is that while that passed by Democrats in the House on Friday, immediately press went to the Republicans in the Senate that same Friday and asked, what do you think about it? They said, we have our own version. Oh, I like that. They're trying to do something. I love it. That's what I'm referring to as CR for Stimulus 3.0. So the senators have their version of the legislation, and guess what? I just can't believe I'm saying this. The Senate Republicans, you heard me right, Senate Republicans say that their version on the Republican side out of the Senate will merge with the House Democrat version because they should be merged and they will go out quickly and fast. Can you pinch me? Is this a dream? It's not a dream. It's a reality. What has happened? Here's my opinion. Well, I don't even know if it's my opinion. I think it's a factual statement. What's happened is Aguilar even alluded to this last week, is that Republicans and Democrats both understand the way to win the midterm elections is to show and deliver economic recovery legislation. Not just say inflation's bad, elect me. They have to do something. And so that's why Republicans and Democrats on both sides of Congress are now trying to deliver lots of pieces of legislation to say mine is here, mine is here. And that's what's great across the board. So while the House Democrats passed CR for Stimulus 2.0 on Friday, the Senate Democrats immediately said, you know what? We're anxious to merge them, and we like that you did yours. We like ours. We're going to merge them across the board. Here's an incredible, inspiring, great news quote that came in from Senator Todd Young, who is a Republican supporter of the Senate version, in a quote going into the weekend. My hope is that the process will continue to move forward. The Democrats have passed their bill, the House version, and now we, the Senate Republicans, can go to conference and come up with a piece of legislation that will be more productive of what both Senate Republicans and Senate Democrats can pass together. wow. It's just, yeah, can they come up with a pop song at the same time? It's just, what's going on? I just love it. We will work very quickly. That's part of the quote. Yeah, that's part of the quote. We will work very quickly to try to improve what we've done here in the Senate. We'll send House Republicans a much better option that we can all pass. Wow, that is huge. Absolutely incredible. So that is 2.0, the House Democratic version. The 3.0, the Senate Republican version that they want to merge with the 2.0. Is there a 4.0 option? There is a 4.0 option. Again, we're looking for anything that's small in terms of number of pages in the bill, not thousands of pages, just hundreds of pages, bipartisan and quick. And this one is something very, very innovative because that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to think outside the box here. By the end of this week, you're expected to see a 4.0 option going to potential vote in the Senate. And it is the Russian sanctions bill. It is a small bill. It's a sanction Russia for putting 100,000 troops on the Ukrainian border. And it has support of Republicans like Marco Rubio and Bob Menendez, Democrat senator. They want to pass it very quickly, get it out the door. Is this something else that they could insert a potential stimulus check in there as well? They could. So now you see 4 opportunities to insert pieces of legislation that all mirror each other. Quick, fast, bipartisan, small in size, and the opportunity to insert a check in there. The last one, of course, is the most different because it's a sanctions bill for a foreign government. The prior ones all concern economic recovery, which is what we're right on point with. Now, there you go. Very, very exciting. We're going to turn back into Build Back Better Act in a second, but now I want to turn to something else that is really exciting viewers across the board. It is SS 200 2.0. What is SS 200 and what is the 2.0 version of it? During his run for campaign, in his campaign for President of the United States, Joseph Biden merged a Elizabeth Warren campaign promise for her campaign into his and adopted it and said he wants to reform the SSI and SSDI Social Security Railroad Benefits, Veterans Benefits Administration programs. And how did he promise to reform it, and when did he next repeat it? He next repeated it in his campaign transition papers, which means after he won the election, but before he took the oath of office, he repeated again in written statements. So what do you want to do? He wanted to reform the administration, to give you more money if you're on SSI, SSDI, Social Security, Railroad Benefits, Veterans Benefits, well, a lot of different things. One of them was the SS 200, an expression coined on this channel. It was the following concept: to provide $200 more per month for 6 to 12 months as a COVID-like relief, just one time, 6 to 12 months, for people on benefits because of what they've endured, because they had not gotten enough in benefits in 2020, because benefits were undervalued. So, never got to the finish line, really dead on arrival. During the spring of 2021, I told you that Democratic House and Senators said, Joe, you promised all this during the campaign. You haven't delivered it, so we're going to put it into fifth stimulus. Fifth stimulus, covered on this channel for months, is a reconciliation process. Reconciliation process means it starts in the House, goes to the Senate, it has lots of voting, and reconciliation process has a lot of steps to it. More about in a second. But now we see it on this channel that Joseph Biden can do the SS 200 part of the campaign promise, the SS 200 part of the recon without a recon. How does it work? Very simple. The President of the United States has inherent authority under the Constitution to pick up the phone and call anyone. In fact, he has just his freedom of speech to pick up the phone and call anyone. I can pick up the phone and call anyone. But let's be a little bit more frank about this. There are government agencies like the Social Administration that are established under the Charter Agreement to do things the way they want to do it. They set their guidelines. They set their benchmarks. No act of Congress is needed. No executive order is needed. They can do what they want. Here's an example. During fall of 2020, people were on Snap watching this videos on the channel, or I was getting millions of viewers, getting them on Snap by recording videos. Then Joseph Biden picked up the phone one day, called over to the Department of Agriculture, say, you know what, you determine how much to pay in SNAP. I don't think you're paying enough, pay more. And they said, okay, you're right, Mr. President, we will. And now they're paying 25% lifetime more because of that phone call. They determined whether to do it, not the president, but he gave the encouragement. So what can he do with SS200? He can pick up the phone and contact the Social Security Administrator and say, COLA, remove it. Replace it with inflation. The immediate economic impact or money impact on your wallet is you would get at least approximately $200 more per month, and not just 6 to 12 months. Lifetime. Yeah. So let's go over what's at issue. It's a number calculation first, and then we're going to go over functionally how it works. Very, very simple concept. The concept is that your benefits, if you're on SSI, SSDI, Social Security Railroad benefits, are determined based upon a benchmark that's looked at every December. The benchmark is called COLA, C-O-L-A, cost of living adjustment. It's been on the books for decades. The problem is that it doesn't work. Why? Because as food and eggs and gasoline go up, COLA doesn't go up historically. So you'll look at your check in January, it'll be the same check for benefits you got from December, usually. And that's why COLA doesn't work. That's why the campaign promise, the fifth stimulus, all of it was talking about replacing COLA with inflation. Now let's just go over the numbers so you understand how much more money this is. COLA is 5.9% right now. Inflation is 7.5. It may be a little bit higher, maybe close to like 8.2 at the moment. If we replace it right today, you would see about 2 to 3% more per month, a lifetime, and that's about $200 more per month, a lifetime, just because of this swapping of COLA for inflation. Now, let's go over more about this COLA versus inflation. COLA doesn't work. And as your goods that you buy, the gasoline you buy goes up, that's inflation, not COLA. So the president, the campaign promises, the fifth stimulus all said replace COLA with inflation. And back last spring, I said, I'm predicting that inflation is going to be 8% in December 2021, last month. Everyone said, you're crazy. I like, he's crazy again. Yeah, well, I'm going to stick with it. And I said 8%. And I said, it's not going to be temporary inflation. They said, no. The Federal Reserve says 1 to 2%. It's going to be transitory, temporary. And Wall Street says it's going to be 2 to 3%, temporary, transitory. I said, I think they're crazy. I don't think it's going to be that low. I think it's going to be 8%. Well, guess what? It came in last month. It was 7.5%. I wasn't crazy. There you go. And guess what? It ain't temporary. I'm not crazy on that either. It may be that same number this month or even higher. So all Joe Biden has to do is pick up the phone and say, hi, Social Security Administrator, how are you? I want you to replace COLA with inflation and do it 30 days from now. And that's the new benchmark. I encourage you to do it. And if they say yes, which guess what they're going to do? If you were watching this channel back in February of this year, February 2021, I did a video about how the president fired the old Social Security Administrator, which was under the Trump administration, put his guy or gal in there. So that person's going to listen to him. Trust me, he's going to listen to Joe Biden because he was a Biden appointee. You're done. You get more. You get your SS200, but you don't get it for 6 to 12 months. You get it lifetime. Wow. Now, some viewers have asked me questions, great questions. What about everything else from fifth stimulus? Everything else from fifth stimulus still has to be done by recon. So marriage penalty, asset cap, income caps, that all still has to go by recon. They can get that done at a later date. Now, the President of the United States has a second opportunity to get you big money. And this one is really, really fascinating. And this, again, is where people sort of look at me and say, goodness, I do not understand why a kid with a surfboard and a red shirt has to be telling the president to do this. Doesn't the president know how to do this himself? Sometimes I just don't know what's going on there. And it's not just Joe Biden. It's just constantly of Congress or the presidencies. You just don't know what they're doing. This is sort of obvious. It's not... I didn't even think a high school student could tell the president this if they watch the videos enough. Let's go over what's at issue. The president can repurpose fortunes of money that potentially is sitting around and send it out as a stimulus check for you today. Why has he not done this? Why have prior presidents not done this? And why have they sort of done it but not done it completely enough? Let's go over the equation right now. The president of the United States has federal agencies like SBA, like FEMA, like Social Security Administration, they have programs, and those programs are created by Act of Congress, and those programs are funded by Act of Congress. But then the programs end. It's, let's say, a 6-month program. It ends after 6 months. Where does the money go? If they either use up all the money or they have extra money, the money stays in the agency. It doesn't get returned back to home. It doesn't go back to like a monopoly money. It doesn't go back to home plate. No, it stays in the agency. So what are the president's abilities? The president has the ability to pick up the phone and repurpose the money. Not an act of Congress, not an executive order, just a phone call. Saw it twice under the Trump administration. The first example became a reality. The second one should have, and if it did, Joe Biden may not have been president. Donald Trump would have won. Let me go over the two opportunities. The first one was FEMA. You know what FEMA is. It's disaster relief. Hurricanes, tornado. That's what FEMA does. At the start of the pandemic, FEMA was given a program by Act of Congress with lots of money for COVID relief. The program was then over. The money was still sitting there. Extra money. Donald Trump, on the other hand, had another problem. The other problem was millions of Americans were on unemployment, UI and PUA, and they had enjoyed FPUC, that $600 add-on or $400 add-on on top of it, the boost, that had ended. To extend it, he was going to need another act of Congress. He did not want to go back to Congress. So he said, can anyone else send out an FPUC equivalent, a 2.0, an FPUC 2.0? He found FEMA with extra money, picked up the phone, said, hey, it's Donald. Send out your extra FEMA money as an FPUC replacement. We're going to call it LWA. Sound crazy that a federal disaster agency is sending you unemployment benefits? They did via the states. And that became a reality. That's how it works, folks. Second opportunity, this was the big blunder of the Trump administration. $550 billion was confirmed by me, Larry Kudlow, Steve Mnuchin, a lot of people, as leftover from overfunded SBA business programs for COVID relief. The programs were over. The money was still there. There was a lot of programs featured on this channel in spring of 2020 that, like the Main Street lending program. Remember that video? They were bombs. No one wanted these programs. They were very bad programs. So they were funded, and the programs ended, and the money was still sitting there. So guess what happened with a lot of that money? It just sat there. $550 billion. I said the president, Donald Trump, should pick up the phone and repurpose the money, send it out as 2 stimulus checks. 2 stimulus checks right before election, not rocket science. You win. You win. What did he do? He didn't do it. He left the money sit there and he didn't do anything about it. So what can Joe Biden do today? He can pick up the phone and repurpose existing money. The only part of the hard part of this equation is I need your help on this one. Send me a private message on social media, Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram. If you have and I haven't seen it or I respond or mention on camera, send it again. I want to see if you can find excess money sitting around. The $550 billion of SBA gone, the FEMA money gone. Is there another pot of money sitting around that we can advocate Joe Biden to repurpose out the door? Now, understand, this is repurposing money at a federal agency. This is not grabbing cash in the Department of Treasury. Can't do that. The president cannot send out stimulus checks by executive order by grabbing cash from Janet Yellen's office, the Department of Treasury. He can't do that. He can repurpose, however, money for existing programs. All right, there you go. So now let's go back into the incredible details of what else is in fourth stimulus, and then we're going to turn into third stimulus. So fourth stimulus recon. Build Back Better Act. It will pass. The President of the United States, and new comments from Andrew Bates, Chuck Schumer as well, says the fourth stimulus recon will pass. What has happened in the last 4 days, which makes this very interesting? So there's great provisions in there. Everything in there from the House is still in there. Nothing has been removed. Bernie Sanders went on a strange fake narrative middle of last week saying that the moderate Democrats' provision of the SALT cap had been removed during negotiations. There was no negotiations and nothing was removed. So everything is still in there. So the provisions in that incredible recon are huge. Let me go over some of those checks right with you right now. They are, of course, the SALT cap, raising from $10,000 to $72,500 of what you deduct in state and local taxes. Got it in there. They got in there the cheaper prescription medication. Growing from 20 medications a day one to 30 medications, that's year 2028, for cancer, arthritis, diabetes, the most expensive medications for Medicare Part B and D. They got $40 billion of free job train checks. You want to take a higher paying job, there'll be a free check in there for you as well. They got the $550 check for college students for the Pell Grant. They got in there the Medicaid gap fix. There's 12 Republican states that vowed never to provide you low-income cheaper medical insurance in your state. So Raphael Warnock and Joe Manchin got a workaround plan that provided it in there as well. They want to do one more year of the $3,600, the CTC, one more year of the earned income tax credit, the hazard pay, one more. They want to do the household tax credit, the $3,600, the $4,000 of care for young children, the $12,500 for the purchase of a new electric vehicle, and then the housing provisions. Two new, and the rest repeat. Let's go over those provisions right now. The two new, of course, are to weatherize your home and the home repairs, but the other ones are repeat from third stimulus. And the great news is you don't have to wait for it later. You can get it right now. If you're new to finding this channel and you just found this channel, let me tell you what I do. I get people money. Lots of it. This channel has gotten viewers on over $50 million since it started on April 25th, 2020. We started with $25 million, and then we've gotten fortunes for rent, utilities. We got it initially with $250,000 before we had a third stimulus package. And I told viewers, when third stimulus becomes law, you're going to get $15,000 for it from this money for rent, utilities, and it's going to be a lot. Well, I was wrong because viewers got a lot more than that. They initially got $45,000 in the first round, which is when they reached out as soon as it became law, in about February, March of 2021. Some viewers got another round during the summer. And then during the winter, last month, December, viewers got November, December, January. They usually got 3 to 4 months. An additional round averaging about $15,000. That's what the average viewers of the channel got. $15,000 in stimulus they got last month. Viewers in the last week have been sending messages in private message and social media, some of which I have lost. I have no idea why. I think it was just too many messages at the same time. I saw it and I didn't copy it, and now it's pushed back. So send me your message again. If you're in the live chat, send it to me in private message on Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram. Yesterday, we had 2 viewers in the live chat on afternoon. No, it was the evenings. It was the evenings. One got $10,000. Another one got $15,000 in the last week. I know Crayola helped someone, and that person I think got $25,000. It was a lot. So what I want you to do is get that money right now. And where do you get it? Pull out that newsletter. If you're a member, if you're not a member, subscribe, become a member right now. The link to become a member is right on the video. We're going to get some rent, utilities, mortgage assistance, and more. Let's start with the rent, and boy, is it a lot. This is the rent that viewers were getting in 2021. Now they're getting $40,000 of rent, where you get it 6 places: City Hall, City House Authority; County Hall, County House Authority; State Hall, and State House Authority. And the keywords you're going to say are rent assistance because of COVID, mortgage or utility assistance because of COVID. Three things you must do. You must reach out to all 6 places. You must get applications on file everywhere. And you must do multiple rounds. There you go. We'll go over those rounds again in a second, even though I went over just a second, just right before I showed you this graphic. Next, utility assistance. You want to get utility assistance because of COVID. And boy, it's a lot. Mark's brother-in-law is getting $15,000 a year. Go get it. Snap. $25,000 a year. Mark's brother-in-law is getting $250,000 over the next 10 years. Get that SNAP. It is money for food. You get it from the Department of Agriculture. Get that money across the board. Then get combo items. Here's an easy. Art Sullivan. They started the viewers on 3 or more items. Get those 3 items. Here was Mark at the time. He had 2 items, $32,000. Now he grew. I said to Mark, where's your third? He got his third. He grew to $50,000. Now he's at over $100,000. Lorraine, she was at 105. Now she's at 120. It's important to understand that viewers who take notes, follow along, listen, and try to get every single pot of money on this channel, which is an informational, educational channel, do really well. People who treat this as sort of, like talk radio don't do well, because this channel launch was showing people, you applied for the EIDL grant, you haven't gotten it. You applied for the EIDL loan, you haven't gotten funded, but people who applied months after you got funded. This is a channel that launched to show you how to get money. It is still a channel to show you how to get money. That's why when we go over all these incredible provisions of these things, it's important for you to understand what's going on. As John yesterday had one of the most hysterical comments I've seen in about a while. On Mornings LA, I say, the toast is toast and the butter is butter and the coffee's brewing. He said, and the donut better not be donutting. That's to refer to. Do not just sort of sit back and say, you know what? I'm watching Tucker Carlson send me some checks. Don't think like that, because that's not the way the universe operates. The viewers of this channel who have done so well have taken the information from the videos and applied the information. The fourth stimulus recon, thousands of pages of length. These provisions that I just went over are the same provisions that will be in the final bill. They're not getting removed, and they were in the bill as of November, October last year. Some of the provisions we started to hear of last summer. So those provisions are in there. You need to know every single thing about those provisions. As soon as it becomes law, you have to pounce. If you have questions, send me a private message across the board. Next, it's important to understand that there is a lot of opportunities to get other sums of money out the door. And now the great news that we're really seeing from anyone from Pete Aguilar to anyone else is that Republicans and Democrats both understand economic recovery is needed and is needed now with passage of legislation, and they're going to take that to the finish line. In my heart of hearts, I really do believe that Republicans and Democrats will both start passing economic recovery legislation in the next week or so, because they need to show they're doing something with this economy. Not time or place to sit back and say, I want to complain. I want to complain. We have a lot going on. Meantime, what is the update on CR 1.0? CR for Stimulus 1.0. So I need to advocate with two people. One of these people is a new face you've not seen on our prior list of people you advocate to. You know, when we advocate for MSCs or any provision in the Build Back Better Act, we always talk about those six people that always promise all those inclusions. And that graphic was this one. Well, one of the people not in the graphic, is Senator Pat Leahy. That's Leahy. He is a Democrat out of Vermont. You want to advocate to him and Bernie Sanders. Excuse me, I butchered that. You want to advocate to him and Chuck Schumer. Leahy and Chuck Schumer, you see right there, about the following. A new quote out from John Tester, who's a Democrat from Montana, says as to the government funding bill, the CR, the continuing resolution, two opportunities. Get it done in the next few days. It's about February 18th approximately. Or move it out a month with a stopgap. He says the first thing you need to do is you need to get these top four people on board about the price of the continuing resolution. What's the price going to be? 1 trillion, 2 trillion, 10 cents. What's the price going to be? And he says the people they need to lock down that price are two Republicans who you don't want to advocate to, of course, and Leahy and Schumer. If you get Leahy and Schumer to lock down that price, then he says they could write the CR and get it done by the end of the week. That means we could meet the deadline, meaning we don't roll this over another week or 2 weeks with a stopgap. So what you want to do is you want to pick up the phone and advocate to Leahy and Schumer saying, get it done and do what you did in 2020. Insert a stimulus check in there. We've had your back. Schumer's office has told tens and tens and tens of thousands of viewers of this channel he's going to give you a stimulus check in the Build Back Better Act. Well, say, Chuck, I've had your back. I've had your party's back. I love the Build Back Better Act, but we've waited way too long for it. Give us a check for now in the CR and get it done, get it out the door. That will lock down the midterm elections for the Democrats. You'll do well. Don't leave us with no money in our wallets out of the CR. This is an easy breezy. Just slide it in there, one check out the door. Very quick. Don't make a big brouhaha. Don't make a big blitz about it. You got Republicans to do it last year in December 2020. They did it very quickly. Remember the CR 2020. was literally a 3-day turnaround. It was a 4-day turnaround. It was not in there, and then bam, it was in there. It was done. It was finished. Do it very, very quickly. Mitch will send that check out. Let Mitch take his credit. Let Mitch take credit that I gave you a check. Yeah, I gave you a check. Okay, Mitch. You also gave us some lobster shorts. And the way we go. And there you are. Coming up next is a continuation of the big programming today. We have Evenings LA at 5 o'clock. Then we have Evenings Countdown at 6 o'clock. We have Evenings Home Stream Stimulus at 7. And then Evenings LA Extra at 8 o'clock. Then we go into overnight shows at 9, at 10, at 11:30. And then we return tomorrow morning at sunrise with 3 and 3:30 before we go into early mornings LA at 4. Mornings Countdown at 7, and then back on air 9 a.m. with mornings LA. And with that, I want you to subscribe. 400,000 subscribers bring this channel from number 3 to number 2 in the United States for financial news, both broadcast and print media and cable and internet. Like the video and consider becoming a member. Stay informed, stay focused. Have a beautiful afternoon. I hope the weather improves in some parts of the country where it has been very treacherous. Stay informed, stay focused, and stay with Ally for more.